Welcome. It's the first surprise live stream I've done in quite a while. I have the wrong shirt. It's a lion, not a panther, or a bear. Ooh. But I feel you. This is a very exciting day. Very exciting day. I have been waiting for the Bears to trade the number 1 overall pick, and it happened. It happened. How are you guys? What do you think? For quick thoughts.
I'll jump in since Ryan's taking a drink.
I love that.
What is this? The quickest sell of a top 3 pick since the turn of the millennium. Bears were just itching to get rid of that pick, and it shows. And we know Justin Fields is their guy. Ryan, what do you think?
I'm kind of stunned. I was always of this, thought that they'd go down to 4 trying with the Colts. Maybe the Colts didn't give a strong enough offer, and they're okay with passing on Will Anderson and who knows with Jalen Carter at this point. I haven't been keeping up with that, but I guess they're okay passing on a premier defensive talent. And maybe they're going to go offensive line. Maybe they're going to double up on wide receiver because that seems to be the point where the wide receivers start coming off the board around that 9-10 range. So I know they just got one though.
Yeah. You think they would take another wide receiver at 9 in addition?
I mean, depends on what they think of a second round 32 overall pick, Chase Claypool.
I don't think they like him very much. I mean, they have Chase Claypool. They wasted a third rounder last year on Velus Jones. And I mean, they have Komet. I don't know. They have Mooney. Mooney is coming up on a contract year, though. And so is Claypool. They're both class of 2020. So both coming up on contract year. So they could draft a receiver at 9. I think it would be a little odd, but I wouldn't rule it out. I would crush DJ Moore's value if they did.
If you had to give me one guess right now of what it's going to be an offensive lineman.
I think I would agree with that.
That's where those mock drafts, they started coming off the board around that spot to the Jets and the Titans, and they just hopped right in front of them. Now they don't have to reach.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think a receiver would be a little early, but they could do it. They could do it for sure. But I wouldn't lean that way.
I think with the depth of this class at wide receiver, there's options for them as you get into the 60s in the second round that someone might fall down there. That
they now have,
it's going to be worth it for them.
They now have 54, 62, and 65. I actually agree with you. I think it's a high likelihood that one of those could be a receiver. I don't think they're going to go to the free agency pool, really. DJ Moore is a pretty expensive. It's not that expensive. I mean, it's $17 million a year. None of it's guaranteed because all the guaranteed money stays with Carolina. As for Carolina, this is kind of bizarre. They traded for the number 1 overall pick, but they have no weapons on the team at all. And they've traded away the only way to get them.
I was going to bring up that Patrick brought up a great point with the wide receivers later on. That second round pick for the Panthers is probably we could say 90% going to be a wide receiver or an offensive weapon of some sort, right?
Yeah, I mean, if it has to.
And they're going to be probably the biggest riser if it's say a Josh Downs type or a Jalen Hyatt type.
I'll fix that. Give me a second.
They're going to be one of the biggest risers. So it's nice to know that there's a spot with insulation built in, already ready for us. Hey, someone's going to get absolutely rocketed up these boards, and it's guaranteed at this point.
So Grimley says they're getting Kincaid at the 2-3 to pair with Komet. No, they're not. Kincaid is not going to make it out of the first round. So I don't.
Maybe they traded back to 9 for him. Wired thinking. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I don't think they're. I don't think Kincaid's going to get out of the first round. So I don't see that as the case. I don't see that as very likely. Yeah. So what else? What else is there to cover with this trade? I mean, now there's been conflicting reports as to which quarterback the Panthers are in on, isn't there?
I was just about to ask. So my phone died, at the end of my work shift, right before this trade got accepted. So that's why I was messaging the group chat, what just happened? I was out of the know. I didn't even know this stuff was going on. So,
wow,
surprise.
Yeah. There was some discussion on Twitter that it was leaning towards CJ Stroud. But I think that that's just speculation. Do you think Carolina knows, or do you think they just did it?
You have to know.
I would hope that they know. Like, you gotta know something. I mean, Doug Kleinman put out like 30 minutes after the trade gets finalized and says Panthers are willing to move back down if they fall in love with someone else.
I don't know if I believe that.
Nah, that
Like,
we could talk all day about stuff like that. It's not.
I don't know if I believe that. I don't know why they would do that. I think they're just going to stay at 1 and pick their guy. Houston, I feel like, is going to take someone. And now I think we look at Arizona. I think we look at Arizona at 3 to kind of look at, potential draft trade. They could trade down if there's people are interested in a 3rd quarterback.
Oh, okay. Here's what Schefter was saying. The owner loves Bryce Young. The coach likes CJ Stroud.
Okay. CJ Stroud's betting odds skyrocketed. Carolina got so fleeced. Do we think that Carolina got fleeced?
A little bit.
A little bit?
A little bit.
I think you're always overpaying when you're trading up in the NFL draft.
That's probably true. I just kind of feel like I don't know. They don't have their first next year. They still have decent draft capital this year. They have 140 and 94. It's not the end of the world. But I just feel like they're going to be good this year. I don't think so. I think they're going to be bad. That 2024 first could be early.
Oh, I see what they're doing. Of course, you got to pay for a quarterback now, but they're banking on that being mid because that division is exactly what I just said, mid. It's a mid division. The Bucs are in shambles. I mean, the Panthers just traded up for number 1. The Saints, Derek Carr, they're going to be average, right? So maybe the Panthers might sneak and win the division. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, anything is possible.
I mean, especially no Brady. Unless Brady comes back, and it's over. But
Brady's not coming back.
I know. At least not to that team.
Huh.
Miami looking at you.
Do I smell a DJM truth or handle?
Oh.
Let's talk about that. I mean, is this good, bad, or nothing for DJ Moore?
We can focus a little. Go ahead, Patrick. Go.
I was gonna say is Justin Fields the best quarterback he's ever played with?
I don't know.
Yeah.
He's better than. I think Justin Fields is better than Sam Darnold. Better than the ghost of Baker Mayfield. Can't even remember who. Oh, the mismatch of Kyle Allen.
Oh yeah.
That year, whatever that was.
Wasn't he good with one of those guys though?
He's put up 1,000-yard season every year. It feels like.
Yeah, I will say that Sam Darnold's worst season as a quarterback, he still averaged almost 30 more passing yards a game than Justin Fields.
Passing yards.
So it is, yeah, right. But for a wide receiver, we don't care. Justin Fields' rushing yards don't help you. They don't help you for a wide receiver. They're not helping.
I know. Could this be a Jalen Hurts kind of phenomenon? I know we have to bank on development. I know Jalen Hurts got way, way better.
I don't think the Bears are have the least number of passing attempts next year after this trade. They were the lowest rate of passing at 22.5 pass attempts a game. I don't think they stay down below 28 with the addition of DJ Moore and potentially another weapon.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Hurts in 2021, when people complained he never threw the ball, still averaged 209 passing yards a game. So we're talking about a universe of difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I mean, they're following the blueprint. So good on Ryan Poles and good on the Bears. Getting Justin Fields, a good wide receiver, still maintaining all their draft capital, most of their salary cap. Like, it's the right way to do it. I mean, could they have went and gotten T. Higgins? I don't know. It's conflicting reports on that one, but we'll see.
I think it is what it is. They have DJ Moore's already extended, so they don't have to give him a new contract, which is kind of nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like, what other wide receiver are they going to go get?
I would say, well,
Michael Pittman.
Yeah, that's true. This was a good deal for them. For fantasy, I mean, DJ Moore, it's tough because I do feel like DJ Moore, if he played with someone like Golden for fantasy, like Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow, someone like that, like the elite of the elite, I feel like DJ Moore has wide receiver 1 ability in it. This is not that. This is not wide receiver gold. So for DJ Moore, I mean, I didn't really actually move him in my ranks. I actually did not move him. I had him at wide receiver 18 in Dynasty before, and I didn't move him. The problem, and the people who are really hurt by this, is everyone else. Chase Claypool has now moved into irrelevance. Not that he was relevant before, but I don't. He's not even going to be in my top 80 once rookies are put in. He just has no value at all. I'm worrying that they can support their 1, let alone their 2, their tight end, and anyone else. So Chase Claypool, forget him. Darnell Mooney, that's a big hit. It's a big hit to Darnell Mooney. I just this type of offense doesn't support extra weapons. You're lucky if it supports 1. It's not going to support 2 or 3. So Darnell Mooney, I think what you hope for with him is that they don't extend him and that he leaves. Because I don't think he's a bad player. But next year is going to look bad. Next year is going to look bad for his fantasy value. We're not going to like it. I mean, in redraft, are you going to rank Darnell Mooney in your top 50? I don't think you can. I don't see what the basis would be to rank him there. So it's tough. How do you value someone like that in Dynasty? When you know that next year is not going to be good. Not easy.
Especially not in a contract year.
Yeah, I mean, you're hoping for a Christian Kirk-like situation where someone else sees the talent in Darnell Mooney. They realize that he didn't have the best situation and give him a bigger contract to go and prove something on another team. And then, but it could happen. But for every Christian Kirk, there's 4 guys with the same career path that it doesn't happen for.
We're going to update that saying in a week. Jacoby Myers.
You don't think Jacoby Myers is gonna, I hear this all the time. Like Jacoby
I think
Myers
he's going to get it
like,
back. He's good.
Oh, yeah.
He's a legitimately good football player. It's not his fault he got stuck with Bailey Zappi and Mac Jones.
Yeah.
I think Jacoby will get at least 4 years, 80 mil.
Something like that. I mean,
he's gonna get better than Christian Kirk's contract was.
I tend to agree. This free agency class is, I think, weaker than last year's.
Yep. There's no one there.
Except
going out and trading.
Yeah.
Well, it'll definitely be a sell for me then.
Well, there you go.
Tell you that.
But Tyler, we need to address the important things. What does this do for Terrace Marshall and Laviska Shenault?
Who cares? Who cares about Terrace Marshall and Laviska Shenault? I mean, I don't really care.
I had to do it. It hurts. It hurts.
They both suck. They both suck. If anyone thinks that they have value after this, I would sell. I mean, Terrace Marshall has really done nothing. Laviska Shenault has done less than nothing. They're bad. I don't know. I mean, how are they going to solve this problem? I mean, their offense is just putrid.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to give?
Sorry, Pat.
I was saying, how are you going to give whoever this new quarterback is any confidence?
You're not.
When he's throwing to Terrace Marshall, Laviska Shenault,
You're not. Whoever
Thomas as a tight end, and Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah, no. The answer to that is that you're not. Whoever they draft is gonna have a rough year 1 for fantasy, at least. Maybe they can show something for real life, but for fantasy, I think it's gonna be rough.
Do they have the money to throw around to get,
No.
maybe? No.
They've got
No,
like
not really, no.
22 million maybe in cap space. Now,
That's-
obviously, you can change and adjust that, but
With the pick.
Yeah, I would say no. They don't really have the money to throw around at anyone huge. Like, they are not going to be in on Jacoby Myers. But I do think that they have to make a signing to accommodate. You can't have a quarterback come in and have wide receivers be. This mock draft gives them Jalen Hyatt at 40. Great pick. I think that would be a good move. But you can't have Jalen Hyatt, Terrace Marshall, and Laviska Shenault and expect a rookie to come in and succeed. That's not going to work. So there are veterans on the free agent market. I mean, Robert Woods was one of them. He's gone now. He's a Texan. They could be a team to trade for Brandon Cooks. I know it doesn't make any sense, but nothing they've done really.
It does. It does now. You have to surround your young quarterback with talent, or else he's going to turn out like all these other guys like Sam Darnold, who is on your football team.
Yeah, it's just tough. I mean, the wide receiver free agent market, I mean, Juju is out there, but they're short on cap space. DJ Chark, I mean, they have to sign someone.
Paris Campbell.
Paris Campbell is so bad. It's brutal.
You're putting money into the IR at that point.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I think that you could target someone who is like a lower priced, kind of a cast off. Someone who, is just kind of didn't work on their first squad, but may have talent. I also would take a look at the Bengals situation. Everyone's talking about trading T. Higgins, and that's interesting. But, they also have a lot of money tied up in Tyler Boyd, that if they decide to go and pay T. Higgins, they're probably not. I mean, Tyler Boyd, I don't know if they can cut him, but they can save his salary by trading him. So he could be someone who's on the block for Carolina or another team. I've heard his name bandied about as well. So they could be active in the market there. There are plenty of players who are. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins.
What about another wide receiver that's aging that was just cut by their team in Minnesota?
Adam Thielen?
Could Adam Thielen go there, bring a veteran presence? I
feel like at this point with Adam Thielen, I guess Robert Woods, I would have said, is kind of ring chasing, but he's not, clearly. I would think
Woods was bag chasing.
I feel like Adam Thielen, similar to Robert Woods, has made a lot of money. I feel like Adam Thielen strikes me as a little bit more of a ring chaser than Robert Woods. I don't really have much to base that on, but it just feels that way from looking at his personality. And he talks about winning a lot, so I just can't see Adam Thielen doing it. They will sign somebody. They'll target one in the draft at 40, almost for sure. I mean, I think you can almost write that in pen. And that's going to be a player we really like, probably.
Until they mess it up and go, like, defense.
But, yeah, I would say if people are interested in Terrace Marshall or Laviska Shenault, I would put them on the block. I'd take any third for either. They're just bad. They're just bad. Nothing has changed. They didn't become good just because another player left. That's the biggest fallacy in Dynasty, as we all know. One player doesn't, because a better wide receiver leaves, does not make the wide receivers on the depth chart who were bad previously good. We know that. How does it affect 102 and 104? I believe this is 102 to 104 as a Superflex rookie draft. Now that we know 2 QBs at 1 and 2 and likely another at 4, probably the 4th at 7. Well, we don't know that yet, but I would say that 1 and 2 are now obviously going to be quarterback. And then Indianapolis at 4, I think, is interested in a quarterback. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Yeah. I had said Carolina at 9 was the floor for QB4 in the draft. I change it now. I think, I don't want to say Vegas. Atlanta at 7, I think, or Atlanta at 8 is the floor now for QB4. I think if Anthony Richardson is there, Atlanta's going to take him.
Oof, I think Anthony Richardson goes before
Will Levis or whatever.
It's going to be Will Levis.
I mean, yeah, Anthony Richardson will probably go before. But same thing then. I think they would take Will Levis as well. Vegas, I think the same way. I think they would take either one. Either one, they would be interested. So since both teams, I think, would be interested in both players, I don't see how they get past 7 and 8 if somehow they're not going to get past 4 anyway.
So you're telling me the Texans aren't going to get, I'm trying to think of a word, robbed from winning that game of Bryce Young?
We'll have to see. I would say, though, this doesn't really affect much in Superflex. The player whose value was affected most, as in the player I moved the most, is actually Cole Kmet, who I moved the most down, ironically. I kind of feel like this is setting up a bad scenario for him. But he's kind of a free agent like Darnell Mooney. So I didn't move him or Darnell Mooney down that much because they're both free agents. If they're not extended, if they get locked into this situation, then I'll move them down more. I actually want them both to leave. Lamar is not going to Carolina. He never was. I would say Lamar is going to stay in Baltimore because he doesn't have a choice. Sucks, but that's the reality, I think.
I pitched it on Tuesday. Like, come on. If I'm Detroit, the conference is weak. The division's going to be weak after Rodgers leaves or retires, whatever he decides to do. It's not going to be staying in Green Bay.
He's not going to be staying there, yeah. That's a discussion for another show.
You have
Philadelphia. Basically said it today. They're done.
I saw that. Mark Murphy came on and said,
Yeah.
You have Philadelphia, who sadly, in my eyes, getting very, weaker on the defensive side. And you have San Fran, who has this quarterback kind of, I don't even know if it's a controversy, if it's just injury. I don't know what to call it. But then there's no one else. There's no one else in the NFC. Go for it.
Yeah.
Chase that ring. Come on, Detroit.
Let's see. We'll have to see. I think it would be a shrewd move. Cap space is short, though. They really can't afford it.
Cap is fake, though.
The cap is fake. I mean, there are things you could do, but I honestly don't see the tender offer being made to Lamar. So we'll have to see. Does it feel like it's a lot better for Fields than it is for DJ Moore? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The best case for DJ Moore was that he just wasn't a part of this trade at all. Like, I think both of you would agree with me that we would have rathered, let's say that just something else was included in the trade, be it a defensive player, whatever. DJ Moore stayed and got to play with Bryce Young. I think we would rather play with Bryce Young for fantasy or CJ Stroud, either one, than Justin Fields. I think we would rather those guys because we don't have 2 years of zero passing volume. We don't have that. We don't have 2 years of zero passing volume in the NFL. So, yes, I agree with the recovered Ridley Truther on this point. This is Justin Fields, no excuses. There really shouldn't be excuses. Now, I shouldn't see an excuse. There's plenty of draft capital. There's going to be able to rebuild the offensive line. They still have a lot of cap space. Now you have, honestly, DJ Moore 1. He's I'd say in the NFL terms, middle of the road 1. It's a middle of the road wide receiver run for NFL. Darnell Mooney is an above average 2, I think, for NFL purposes. And Chase Claypool, for an NFL purposes, is an NFL 3. It's fine. It's pretty good. Cole Kmet is a top half tight end, I would say. Top half. I think running back, I think they're going to look to make a big addition.
You know what I saw? I saw jokes on us. They're going to draft.
I think it's more likely that they take Bijan Robinson at 9 than Jackson Smith and Jigba, if I had to choose. Because they need running back more. This is a running team. You can't have a running team with Khalil Herbert. I see all this nonsense about Khalil Herbert being the running back 1. That's not going to happen. This is a team that revolves around the run. You can't have Khalil Herbert be that's not going to work. You need
that read option.
Well, you need running back. I mean, I think they wanted Saquon Barkley for sure. I mean, they were interested, but obviously that went another way. But I think that they're going to look to make an addition at the running back position.
I think Miles Sanders is an option there.
What does that solve, though? How is that different from David Montgomery? I feel like that's just taking. If you want Miles Sanders, maybe because Miles Sanders is cheaper. Maybe that Miles Sanders is
a little bit cheaper.
Is asking price?
I think Miles Sanders is more explosive. I think he offers a little bit more for the team than Montgomery did.
Yeah, if they're not going to use the running back in the passing game, ironically, despite their college profiles say Miles Sanders is a better pass catcher in the NFL, it hasn't been that way. David Montgomery has been the better pass catcher and, pass protector. But if they don't need that, and they just, because they're not going to throw to the running back anyway, then maybe you want the more explosive guy. I don't know. Either way, though, this is a running team. You cannot have Khalil Herbert be the starter. That's not going to happen. So I would, that's another thing. They have picks at 54, 62, and 65. If they don't, they could be a team I could see 2 running backs being added. If they go for someone light in free agency, a downgrade from David Montgomery. Let's say they signed, I don't know, Damian Harris. How about that? Damian Harris. They signed him. I would then put a running back in that 2nd or 3rd round absolutely on the table. Because this is a team I think you need depth at running back. It's very important if you're going to run the ball to have depth at running back. And I don't think signing someone like Damian Harris or Alexander Madison or the like of that kind of ilk would stop you from taking a running back in the draft. So but whatever it is, Khalil Herbert is not going to be the workhorse starter. He'll have to earn the job over other players with better capital, and then maybe he will. And then we'll have to see. We'll have to congratulate him on that. But he will go in as the underdog. Ooh. It's a fair point, actually, here from Jesse. No, I mean, his college profile says he should be a good passer in the NFL. We haven't seen that. But it does say so, right? I mean, wasn't he a good passer? He was a pretty good passer at Ohio State. It's not like he was bad.
When given 6 seconds in the pocket.
Well, you still got to throw it. I mean,
at some point you got to throw it.
And
wide receiver you.
He still had to do it, though.
Yeah.
He still had to do it. I mean, it's not. I mean, we've seen that it doesn't necessarily work that way. I mean, you can have all the weapons in the world, all the best offense, and then if you can't execute, then it doesn't. It all falls apart.
I'm hoping to see Justin Fields' sack numbers go down.
How bad were they?
They
60? I know it was not good.
It was rough. There was times where, even as I said, the 6 seconds that he had at Ohio State.
55 sacks last year in 15 games played. That's not good. That could be
almost
better.
4 games.
That's really bad. That is really bad.
And there was just a lot. And that's even, I don't think he had many 0 rushing yards lost sacks like you see from many mobile quarterbacks.
Yeah, he was sacked on 14.7% of dropbacks. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's
for
a team that passed as little as they did. That is rough.
55 sacks on, that's not good. It's not good. It's fair to have criticism. I think it's fair to have criticism.
You know what I say to that? Paris Johnson Jr., you are a Chicago Bear.
Well, offensive line would help. I mean, I don't think the offensive line was so good. I don't think it was the worst. I mean, it's not the worst offensive line in the NFL. I think the defense was a bigger problem. The defense was literally like a sieve. I mean, Justin Fields had some high-powered offensive games that they lost. I would blame it. The defense was the biggest problem, followed by lack of receiving weapons. But offensive line was probably the 3rd biggest issue. So there were many problems, and they're working there now. Receiver, I think, is fixed. I think it's much improved. Now defense and offensive line, they have to work on those 2 areas. So let's see.
That's what I was saying. That's what I was thinking. I agree with you that the defense was just giving up everything, and that's why I thought they were only going to trade down to 4 to lock in one of those premier talents. But I guess I was wrong. So.
I think they wanted the receiver. I think they've really valued DJ Moore and his cost-controlled contract over the next 3 years. It's cost-controlled. That's the thing. You're not going to have to give him a raise. They're paying him $17.5 million on that contract. They have to pay. It's very good to have a receiver of his caliber on that type of cost-controlled contract. You don't have to worry about his contract. So I think that was a big factor for them in making this deal over a deal with Indianapolis. Because I don't think Indianapolis wanted to include Michael Pittman in the deal. It didn't seem that. Plus, Pittman wasn't extended yet, so they would have had to deal with the contract, which would have been a lot more expensive.
Mm-hmm. And they probably wouldn't have wanted to given up one of those 25 seconds or 24 first or whatever. So,
yeah,
the Pittman.
Yeah, it would have. You wouldn't have gotten as much with 4 as you did with 9. We'll see, though. We'll see.
Yeah, Teddy.
Yes. We'll say Teddy was probably the best quarterback DJ Moore had overall. He was probably the best. Who actually, for his play, he actually was fine. He played pretty well. He didn't favor DJ Moore though. He kind of just
He was
got
chucking
everyone
it.
involved. He just got everyone involved. He spread the ball around. Interesting. Interesting. That's a good thing to note. It's telling why it's bizarre that the Bears had two players in Darnell Mooney and Chase Claypool who don't fit with this at all. That's why I also think they could pick a receiver in the draft. Maybe I think in the second round, they could use one on a running back and one on a receiver. There's 3 picks in that kind of mid second to third area, that second, third border. Because I don't think that Darnell Mooney or Chase Claypool fit with what they're doing. Cole Kmet does. I expect them to retain him, but not Mooney and Claypool. They just don't seem to fit with their plan. That's why I suggested someone like Tyler Boyd.
Question for you, Tyler. Do you think Ryan Poles is a GM that will admit his mistake or go down with the ship on Chase Claypool?
Admit his mistake. I hope so. I mean, it's better than Ryan Pace, the previous GM. He just said that everything he did was correct. And, he didn't have any regrets in hiring Matt Nagy. There were no regrets. No regrets. I don't think he had any regrets. And that's why Ryan Pace is currently in Siberia. Where he belongs, alongside Matt Nagy, who somehow has a gainful employment. I don't really understand.
With the Chiefs, with the best quarterback in the league.
Oh, well, what do I know? David Montgomery will sign with the Chiefs, by the way. I will tell you.
Agreed.
You watch on Monday. I think that'll be one of the first ones. I think you'll see. David Montgomery will sign with the Chiefs.
And they sell immediately.
Oh, I agree with that. Absolutely. But David Montgomery is as good as gone, by the way. Now, since we're talking about the Bears, that relationship is over. I mean, you've heard a lot of different sources. Matthew Berry kind of came in on that. And, I trust him. Not necessarily that he's, would give the fantasy advice I would always agree with, because we differ on a lot of things. But when it comes to these type of sources, I don't think he would make it up. I don't think he would say that unless he was confident in the information he was getting. So I'm willing to go with him and say that David Montgomery is pretty much as good as gone from Chicago. So plan accordingly. If you have David Montgomery in Dynasty, I would put him on the block wherever he signs. Wherever it is, I don't care. Not a player I want long term. Good point. I was hard on Ridley when he was suspended for his issues, but I do think he was very thoughtful and insightful in the article that he wrote, and I'm proud of him. I'm proud of him, and I hope that he comes back to the NFL and becomes a superstar again. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that he's going to come back and be fine, to be honest with you. I think he's going to come back and he's going to be fine. I think it's going to be a little bit better than he was in 2021 when he left off. Honestly, he was abysmal in 2021. Anyone who tells you otherwise is just lying. He was horrible. He was one of the worst receivers on the league on the volume he received. He was horrible, but I don't think he's that bad. I think you're going to get something in between, 2021 and the rest of his career. So wide receiver 3 range for fantasy. Usable, but not superstar, unless something happens to Kirk. Yeah, it's a lot of questions in the chat. Patrick, I cannot wait. If we have a Rodgers trade at some point, Packers fans are there. Can I get you back on here to do a discussion about that? Because I want to hear from a Packers if and when that happens.
So, okay. I am heading to Wisconsin Wednesday. We'll be in the... I am. And I am fully expecting it to, if it does not break in the next day and a half, for it to break Wednesday or Thursday during free agency.
It'll break and while you're on the plane or whatever.
I'm driving, so I'm fully expecting. Okay. I will send you my personal number. You can get me on. We will Zoom me in or do
I would love that. I would love that.
Shit.
The people have approved of. I've heard very good reviews about Patrick's appearances on the show. I've been very happy. So I think that we're going to have more of you on the show. How does that sound? That would make me very happy, despite the fact that I'm wearing a lion.
Okay, that's fair. I have the Lions quarterback's jersey.
You do,
me, so
although it's the Rams version of it.
It's the better looking Navy Rams.
You have 3 jerseys of players no longer on those. Is that? Yeah, that's a Texas jersey.
Yep. Every single jersey I've bought has been traded from. It is a curse that I have.
Yeah. No, but I really like having you on. I want to, I definitely want to have you on more often if you're willing.
Absolutely. I know I kind of invited myself a little bit tonight. And
I love that.
I had a good time.
That's called balls.
But I do need to do something. As soon as you guys get off the air, if you guys can head over to the Run Boys Fantasy Network, we are getting ready to kick off Run Boys After Dark.
Can you put the link to that in the private chat?
Yep, I will.
Put the link to that. We'll put the link in the chat because I think it's very important. There are so many shows, so many. You could watch if you wanted nothing else to do all day. You just spend all day watching Dynasty, fantasy football, whatever, rookie talk, all of it, so much, and that's just this time of year. Let me see.
Well, we're gonna kick off and start talking about Lamar tonight and what we think's going on there. We got some fun topics. We're gonna break down a rookie mock draft that we did earlier today on Sleeper, and we're gonna have a good time. So I got to get going because they are already live, and I need to get backstage there. So thank you, everyone. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Later.
Talk to you soon, Patrick. Pleasure.
Yeah. I will say, is a good tip for anyone trying to work your way into the industry or just get yourself out there. It is okay to invite yourself on shows. I've done it. I've invited myself on a couple of shows. I was like, hey, I would really love to be on your show. I mean, I kind of invited myself on Get Real with Casey Kasem. I reached out because I wanted to be on that.
That's a good podcast. I'm not surprised I want to be on that.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying I thought it would be a good opportunity. So I was like, what's the worst thing? She says no.
True.
And then, okay, I asked and she said no. And people ask me, and people shoot their shot with me all the time trying to get me on. And I usually say no because I have burnout. It's hard for me to even do extra streams like this. These are rare coming from me to do an extra stream, but I try to save my energy for you guys to do the content on here, especially with the new Patreon show that I've been doing. That was supposed to be today. I was supposed to be doing that now, but this news was so big that I felt like it was more important. And we'll do the Patreon question show sometime later this weekend because that's recorded. I can record that whenever. This is breaking news, so we gotta switch up the order of our content a little bit, and that's okay. You got to be flexible.
That's fine. I mean, especially for a move that's going to have such big dynasty implications.
This is the biggest news that we've had all offseason. We haven't had news offseason that's worth doing a 37-minute and counting live stream. That people were this is the most people I've had in the chat on a stream in a while, and this one I put up an hour and a half ago. So people were obviously interested. I'm glad we could give you this discussion.
It also helps that DJ Moore is fantasy relevant was traded.
Well, yeah, that made it even more. But even if it wasn't, I think we're all interested in the number one pick in the draft. Anyone who's an NFL fan though is interested in that. We've been talking about what Chicago is going to do for the last 2 months. All right, DJ Moore, a random 24 first. Okay, interesting. Man, I will say. I think if I'm going to trade my 24 first, yes, probably DJ Moore is worth more on paper. I don't care. If it's close, I'm going to lean toward the pick because the worst case scenario is that I trade it for the 112. And yes, probably I would rather have DJ Moore of that. But that's not a crisis. That's not a crisis. That's not a disaster. That's not the end of the world. The other worst case scenario is that it's the 101 and it's Caleb Williams. That is a crisis. That is a crisis. That is the end of the world. That is the end of the world. If you trade a 24 first with DJ Moore and it ends up being Caleb Williams, that is the end of the world. That is the end of the world. You screwed yourself. So if all the risk is on the trading the 24 first away, then I'm not going to do it. In order to trade a 24 first away, I need to be getting something that's even need to be getting a value overpay. Let's say this said DJ Moore and George Pickens and George Pickens.
You have to.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, then the value is with it. Neither of those players have as much upside as a 24 first, but it's an overpay. So I can do it then. But just this is not enough. I need something a little more exciting. If it were even Devonta Smith instead of DJ Moore, I would be a little more excited. A little bit more excited. But it's just not exciting enough. So I'll keep the 24 first. Then.
Yeah, as a middling contender, I'll keep it too. Like even 106 this year looks pretty nice.
If it were a 1 QB and I weren't worrying about the quarterback, I would take DJ Moore over random 24 first and a 1 QB. But in a super flex, no.
Drake May and Caleb Williams have those 24 first. Where they're supposed to be bad.
The risk is so high. The risk is so high because you have also... in Superflex when you trade anything else for a 24 first, for a future first, the risk is very high because there's a super premium tier of quarterback assets that other positions just DJ Moore's not ever going to be that or anyone near it. So you take a big risk when you do that. Just jumping in, who do you see Carolina taking at 1? Sorry if it's a duplicate question. I would think it would be Bryce Young. The reporting seems to lean towards CJ Stroud, not Anthony Richardson, is what seems to be the case. It doesn't seem to be that's what the case is.
If Vegas leans Stroud, I'll lean Stroud. I know
Vegas is. Well, we can look. I mean, we can.
I don't have NFL draft odds. I don't know if you do in your state. I can't bet on draft in mine. It kind of stinks.
I mean, we can take a look at that.
I've tried to look it up.
Right now, CJ Stroud minus 225, Bryce Young plus 175. Anthony Richardson plus 400. Lean. Will Levis is like plus 2,500. So it's not even really enough.
So it seems like there's a strong lean to CJ Stroud. I forget what implied
strong
chance
lean, yeah.
That's like, I think, like over 70% implied chance, something like that.
Well, let me ask you this. If CJ Stroud does go 1, is he your QB? And let's say, hypothetical, CJ Stroud goes 1, Bryce Young 2, and Anthony Richardson, let's just say goes 4 to Indy. What about that? He goes 4 to Indy. Who would be your QB1 in that scenario?
Oh, gosh. I have to go with Anthony Richardson. I can't.
You go with Anthony Richardson?
It's just the rushing upside, plus the coach. Shane Steichen worked with Jalen Hurts. He improved Jalen Hurts.
I will say, in that scenario, I don't think you'll have many people putting Anthony Richardson at 3. I think it's kind of all or nothing. Like, Anthony Richardson will either be at 2 or 4, because I think Stroud and Young are very similar for almost everyone. I can't see many people working Richardson between them, because Richardson is very polarizing. But forgetting about Richardson for a second, if Stroud does go 1 and Young goes 2, who would you pick between the two? Does the fact that Stroud went 1, is that enough of a difference to go his way, or do you have Bryce Young far ahead enough to keep him at QB1 if it's 1 and 2?
I think I have to, especially with what we were talking about. The assets for Carolina just aren't there. Like, sure, they might pick a wide receiver at 40, but who are they going to get? A speed guy and Jalen Hyatt, like your mock said, or a slot guy like Josh Downs? I don't even think Zay Flowers is still going to be there at 40 or wherever they pick him.
I could see that. For me, I have Young and Stroud essentially identical. So if Stroud goes 1, but is in a much worse, if Houston really builds a team around Young at 2, the difference between 1 and 2 is not the end of the world to me. Now, if Stroud goes at 1 and Young goes at 7, then maybe it's enough. But 1 and 2, that would be a factor, but I would probably prefer Houston over Carolina with the weapons, so that would be enough to cancel it out and go back to what I have now, which is Young first. But they would be almost dead even to me. And I do expect Stroud to go first. Is what I expect. And if that's the case, they would be almost dead even. I would see almost no difference. And I think the real question is, what do you do with Anthony Richardson?
I guess they were really impressed by his throwing drills at the combine and make this kind of move.
Wouldn't you be? Didn't he excel in the throwing drills?
He did.
I think
it's just kind of weird. I don't know. Frank Reich, just a weird coaching fit, feels like. I hope he coaches them well, but
we'll have to see. We'll have to see.
We will have to see, and it's just, I don't want a rookie quarterback throwing to Laviska Shenault. I'm sorry.
Who cares about fucking Laviska Shenault?
I'm saying I don't want my rookie quarterback. I'm saying I don't want CJ Stroud throwing to him.
I don't think Laviska Shenault's gonna make the team, bro.
He's wide receiver 2 right now.
Shi Smith was playing ahead of him down the stretch at times.
He was.
So I don't know.
But even if the Texans don't
add Shi Smith in Dynasty. Don't hear what I didn't say.
I like Bryce Young more because also I plan that they will, or I think that they'll address wide receiver at 12. It's been kind of leaning that way. They have another first round pick to go ahead and draft their wide receiver 1 probably.
Well, yeah, we'll have to see. Anthony Richardson, I think, assuming that it is the case that Stroud goes at 1 and Young goes at 2, I think the main thing will be evaluating Anthony Richardson against them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that depends a little bit on exactly how high Anthony Richardson goes, where exactly he goes. Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, in fantasy football, you have to take gambles. I know it's really hard picking them over Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Well, there's a gamble, but you forget what you're giving up.
Oh, yeah.
You forget what you're giving up.
Well,
no. To take Anthony Richardson at 2, you're passing on a quarterback in C.J. Stroud, who is pick number 1 overall, who is a great prospect, who excelled at the college level, and NFL loves him. I mean, he's a great thrower. He's kind of great at everything. A quarterback who has I wouldn't say he has the highest ceiling in the world, but someone who could be a first-round starter pick if he plays well. So that's what you're passing up on. That's not nothing.
I know, it's just...
That's a lot to give up on. I mean, that's a lot to give up on. That's something in a super flex you kill for an asset like that, right? I mean, wouldn't you? I mean, how would you feel if you were a super flex team and you didn't have one of those good quarterbacks? What if your quarterback 1 was Kenny Pickett? How are you feeling? It's not so good, right? You would kill to have one of those assets. And Bryce Young and CJ Stroud have every possibility of being that. So I don't know. Just assuming that it's a big risk. I get it taking Anthony Richardson at 4 which is what I would do. Because I get it. Jahmyr Gibbs, yes, he's good. Do I think Jahmyr Gibbs has real upside to be like the running back 1 in Dynasty? No, I don't. I don't see him as quite that level. Do I think Jackson Smith and Jigba is a Jamar Chase type prospect? No, he isn't. He's a non-generational type prospect, a regular wide receiver 1, a CeeDee Lamb type prospect. Now, if he's as good as CeeDee Lamb, then you'll be very happy.
Then you regret your decision.
But I think CeeDee Lamb is his ceiling, though, not Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase. I think CeeDee Lamb is what you would hope for if Jackson Smith and Jigba worked out. Not saying that they're the same player, but that's the level of prospect you're working with. You're not working with a Jamar Chase.
You can't put this Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson tag on just anyone, and we'll be putting it on Marvin Harrison Jr. next year. But
but I just want to say that. Just because I don't think he can be that doesn't mean that I don't think he can be good. But if I don't think he can be that, then Anthony Richardson has more upside than he does. Much more. If JSN is not going to be... Because to crack the first round of a super flex startup, you have to be Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase. That's how good you have to be to get there. It's hard to get there because it's all quarterbacks now. So if Anthony Richardson has the possibility to be in that group, I want to take him at 104 if he's going to get top 10 draft capital, which he is going to.
It's a lock at this point.
Oh, it is a lock at this point. Yeah, absolutely. So, but I have him at 104 because I feel like Stroud and Young have also the possibility to be a first-round startup quarterback. Mm-hmm. And I think they're much safer. I don't think I'm going to be crying in 2 years being like, oh, no, I wasted a pick. I think Tua's career arc is like their floor. And that hasn't been that bad.
Remember when it was an if not win question for Anthony Richardson before the combine like a month ago?
Well, now it's a win. His combine was excellent. I mean, generational combine. So he did an excellent job. You got to reward him for that. I think so. I mean, he did excel in the combine. He excelled in the interview. That was the thing I really wanted to see. The interview was good. No excuses were made. No excuses. He did not make excuses for his poor college accuracy. He owned it. He said he would do better. And it's great to see that he wants to work on that because he does need to work on it at the NFL level. He's not going to be able to be as inaccurate as he was in college and succeed. It's a great thing. Don't think it'll lead to him being picked number 1 overall. Maybe it will. I mean, I don't know. Shockers have happened. DJ Chark, yes, that would work for a Carolina signing. Absolutely. Bobby Trees would have been on my list. Jarvis Landry, I believe, is a free agent. No, he's someone who they could. Darius Slayton is a free agent. Allen Robinson, I know, is available via trade. The Rams might have to pay a pick to get rid of him. Odell
is out
there.
He's not going to Carolina.
I don't know.
No way he sat out a year to go to Carolina.
Allen Lazard is a free agent, but I think he's going to follow Aaron Rodgers. Michael Thomas may or may not be available. We'll have to see. We'll have to see with him. And of course, Adam Thielen, who we discussed earlier.
Aren't they working on an extension for Michael Thomas? Wasn't that
they're working on it? Yeah, I'm leaning now that Michael Thomas stays, but
oh my goodness,
it's not a lock. Just because they're working on an extension doesn't mean it's going to be signed.
I know, but that whole saga is just...
That is a saga of sagas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thielen's looking for a contender. If I look at the teams out there, I actually think the Giants. They made the playoffs last year. Wide receiver is very thin. They need someone sure-handed. And I think Adam Thielen would be someone that they would be interested in. Dallas as well. Dallas, absolutely. I think that, they could use... And Thielen does play a lot on the outside. In addition to his ability to go into the slot, he could play multiple positions. So I think he would fit in very well. Take pressure off Michael Gallup as the 2. And, open up some more favorable matchups for CeeDee Lamb. I think he would fit well in Dallas. And then, of course, Kansas City, of course, we have to mention.
Fire everyone on Kansas
Well,
City.
we have to mention, he would become he would be the wide receiver 1 on their depth chart right now. So we have to mention the Super Bowl champion, Buffalo as well. I think Gabe Davis is a little just okay. I think Adam Thielen, reunite him with Stephon Diggs. I don't think there was a problem. Between those two, I don't think there was a problem. I don't think they had any issue. I think that it would be a good thing.
Diggs and Kirk had the problem, right?
Yeah. Kirk Cousins was the problem, but I think that, Green Bay for Jordan Love, it's not necessarily the biggest contender, but they have a need. There are other teams. New England needs a receiver. So there are plenty of options for Adam Thielen.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Sterling Shepard is finished. He might sign like a cut rate, like locker room style deal with the Giants, but I really think Sterling Shepard's done. Unlike Tim Patrick, who I think actually has a lot of gas left. He's all fired up, but Sterling Shepard, I think, is finished. Allen Lazard, I think, is going to follow Aaron Rodgers. He's done in Green Bay. He doesn't want to be there. I think Allen Lazard's going to get paid more than you think, but he was bad last year. So he's someone I don't want. If I were my NFL team, I would not want them to sign him. He's someone I would want to avoid. I don't know. I think he's going to the Jets.
They just cut Braxton Berrios.
Yeah. I do think, though, they're going to trade for Aaron Rodgers and then, sign Allen Lazard, cut Corey Davis as a cap casualty. What does that solve? That's literally you're just replacing identical with identical.
You know what it solves? It makes Aaron Rodgers happy.
Exactly, yeah. You're essentially taking the version of Corey Davis that Aaron Rodgers wants and putting him on the team.
If you're paying someone $60 million, I think you'd want them happy.
I agree with that. I would prefer DJ Moore to a 25 first in the NFL.
Yeah.
25 first too far away. DJ Moore is a cost-controlled wide receiver on a solid wide receiver on a good contract. So I would much prefer DJ Moore on his contract over 25 first. Yeah, exactly what I was just saying. We need to get a PPE startup going. Point per excuse. Ooh, point per excuse. Kyler Dobbins and Claypool. Oh, man. Rashad Bateman could go in the excuse group. He's had a lot of excuses and many, many complaints.
Just a couple.
Just like 5 or just like 10.
His GM did unfairly blast him. I don't know.
I know. But I would put him in Excuseville.
I know, but I'll give him a couple of those,
Javonte Williams will be on the excuse list when he does not start week 1. People on Twitter are telling me he will play. Yes. He won't. He won't play. Trust me.
Wait till the Denver takes one of these, late day 2, early day 3 thumper kind of.
Denver's going to sign Miles Sanders in free agency or Kareem Hunt and take a running back in the draft. And 2 things. They're going to do both. So I don't want Javonte. DJ Moore, I feel bad.
I'd be so
He's
upset.
talented. I think if DJ Moore were traded to the Bills in the same situation that Stephon Diggs was traded into, he could be a wide receiver 1 for fantasy. He just hasn't ever had the situation.
It feels like Allen Robinson without that one Blake Bortles year, honestly.
And then Allen Robinson also had that 2020 year. He had that one good Bears year.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. I feel
It
so.
was 2019 or I think it was 2020.
It was such a long time ago that I forgot about it.
Yeah.
Oops.
I would say he's a sell because it's the kind of thing that when this kind of player gets like attention, you want to put them on the block and just see if you can get a good deal in that moment. Does that make sense? Whenever there's like news around a player, I usually put them on the block just to see, like just in case.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you never know when someone's going to overpay.
Exactly. And it keeps your options, flowing. Like, it gives you more outs, like in a poker game kind of
Why
thing.
not try?
Exactly. What's the worst they can do? He just sits there on the trade block and on your feet.
I appreciate this, Jesse. And yeah, I'm having a pretty good night. I'm having a pretty good night.
I hope the quarterback pounds out for you, Jesse.
Yeah.
No matter
this is
who.
The link to a Patrick show with Rum Boys. I would suggest everyone go check it out and subscribe to their channel. And while if you're here, like this video, leave a comment either in the live chat or after the video is over. And also subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you can be notified about videos like this. A lot of people tuned into it. So a lot of people must have hit that notifications bell. So I appreciate everyone who did that.
Yeah, just using the comments down here.
Well, we're going to get to that.
Right.
Texans also signed Bobby Trees. Yeah, I honestly, I don't think Bobby Trees is even worth doing a short video, but I'll talk about it on my Monday show. Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern, we'll start with the tampering period, but I feel like that show will be mostly breaking down the news of the week to begin, a little bit of the live tampering, and then on the Tuesday show at 7:30, a lot of the tampering will have happened at that stage, so we'll have more to go over. But it's nice to have two shows. No Ask Tyler this week. We're going to do two kind of live breakdowns. So I've been calling them both that. Conan. I did ask Conan if he was around. I haven't done
a show with him in so long. I missed you, buddy.
Well, I mean, I'm going to plan the NFL draft show. We might have to do that one.
We'll both be on that one.
Yeah, well, we have to get Conan on that. But wish I was home so I could join. I got a quick trade question while I have a second. Lance 106, Dave Montgomery or Ken Walker, Algier and Sutton?
I'm taking Ken Walker.
Walker.
Yeah. I don't want anything else from the rest of that side.
I guess I just don't really want the other side. I mean, 106 and Lance is... 106 is going to be Gibbs or JSN. It's not that different from Walker. It's a little worse, but it's not that much worse. I actually would go the other way. I'm going to take as much as I don't like Trey Lance. I think I'm actually going to go the other side. Because Montgomery, I'd rather have Montgomery over Algier by a little bit. And then, Lance and 106... is definitely, I think is worth more than Walker by a lot. And Cortland Sutton, I don't want. So I'll lean toward the 106 side.
It's just, how do people value QBs in his league? It's
no, I get it.
Kind of question.
A little bit. I think you'll find that the value is with the 106, but it's close.
It definitely is. But if you're competing, I'd take Ken Walker. He's got a good situation.
I also think if I liked Algier or Sutton at all, it would help me pick that side, but I really don't.
Oh, I definitely. He's in a mega rebuild. Take the picks.
Okay, then I'll take the 106. And then I'll take the 106 picks. And get rid of Montgomery.
Lance is the ultimate lottery ticket for our rebuilding team.
I agree with that. Thoughts on Khalil Herbert? We talked about him a lot, and it wasn't not positive. It was not positive discussion about Khalil Herbert. Not positive. A better QB landing spot for Dynasty Carolina or Houston? I'm going to say Houston. I'm going to say Houston is better. I would go that way.
I mean, John Mechie hopefully comes back this season.
Yeah, they have John Mechie. They have Collins, now Woods. I think they're still adding another wide receiver. But this Woods signing makes me concerned about John Mechie, that he's not ready. Because this is a bizarre, busted, expensive, not $2 million, expensive veteran to put on the team. But anyway, let's wrap it up. So you got anything to plug?
No, just my Twitter. Follow my Twitter here. I'll be here next week, next Tuesday. And we're gearing up for the draft show. I know you're making preparations. I am so excited.
I will. And we'll have live coverage next week of the free agency period, Monday 2 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday 7:30 p.m. Eastern, and then I'll be on here throughout the weekend with any more live updates, and then I will have my Patreon show. I will.
If we have live stuff.
I will. I'm going to try to get the Patreon question show up. I was going to do it today, but this came first, and then I'll try to get that up as well. But anyway, follow me on Twitter, Tyler FF Creator, Ryan at RyanPros_FF, and I will see you all at least Monday, maybe before.
Hopefully this weekend. We want more news.
Hopefully, you never know.
Peace.
Anyway, peace.